Practice with purpose. My interpretation of that statement is simple. Stop whacking golf balls aimlessly down the driving range and instead have a clear vision of what you are trying to achieve during each practice session. But as golfers, we have a big problem. What we are taught in a lesson is often forgotten by the time we get to the range. But what if your golf coach never left your side, or more precisely, your wrist? In today's video, I will demonstrate how hack motion has helped me in a number of ways, how it could help you become a more consistent golfer. So if you really want to consistently break 90 or 80 for that matter, you need to focus on that word consistency. So my point is quite simple. You want to break 80, you need to become more consistent. And to do that, I think what I've got on my wrist is going to be ultimately a massive step forward in being able to get that consistency in your swing. And you need one golf club, you need an app on your phone, and you need the hack motion device on your wrist. And this thing tells you so many tales about not only what's wrong with your swing, but also maybe some positives and some encouragement and what is right. It's had a huge revamp in terms of how much detail it now provides. There's a little bit more tuition based on its findings, and they're the kind of things I'm going to go through today. This first screen and what you've seen me do so far is some practice swings, no ball required, just the app understanding what my swing looks like. I've then gone on to hit a few shots as well, and then I've got a basic overview. And the first thing I'm going to look at is, and if you've watched the channel for quite some time, you'll know I've got a bit of a problem with an inside takeaway, and that is a new thing that it looks at in not only identifying it as being an issue, but then how do I correct it. So looking at the screen now, you'll see backswing, inside takeaway, 100% in the red. That's all negativity. So the first thing we're going to look at is how do I possibly correct that, and where does this app and hack motion take me? So the first thing it does is take me to a suggested drill, and it's a drill that I'm familiar with. It's called the Faldo drill, and many of you will have seen this on a lot of YouTube videos in the past. The difference is with this is that when you've watched a video on YouTube telling you how to do the Faldo drill, you'll go and try it and you'll think you're in the correct positions, but the question is, are you actually in the correct positions? And what the app does is identify those positions. So it starts off first of all, and you'll see from the app, getting my hands in a correct position. And it tended to be just a little bit more forward press than I would perhaps normally have. So that's the first thing that I made a little bit of an alteration with. It then teaches you to hinge the wrists, and hinging the wrists without moving them backwards, without going forwards. It's just a wrist hinge from there. So we end up in this position, and again you'll see very intuitive what you're seeing on screen. I'm looking at my phone right flat out in front of me now. It gets me in this position, and then it asks me to make a shoulder turn. And each time you're doing this, as a rep of just 5, you get into each of those positions. You'll feel a little vibration on your wrist if it's incorrect, and it soon sends a message to the brain to tell you that there's something that needs an adjustment. But I just love that idea that first and foremost, why I say about having a sort of coach with you all the time, is that where we fail miserably, I've already mentioned, you have a lesson, or you watch a drill on YouTube, you take it to the driving range and you try and interpret that drill, or you try and recall what your coach has told you to do. The problem is, without a set of eyes looking on, quite often, well, I know in my case anyway, I might be doing something I think is correct, but then when you go back to your coach a month later, it's nothing like what you think you've been doing. So I love this backup of being able to get into that position, first drill there, second drill there. It tells me what I'm doing. And that's a very sort of mechanical process. We've now got to take it into a full swing and see if those feels that I've just gathered can be taken into a full swing, and see what kind of results it produces. What I'm trying to do right now is just a little bit more of a forward press, break up to there, and then try and keep it natural. So break the wrist, turn. It always amazes me that sort of when you drift away from a sort of specific training exercise, and I've been playing golf quite a lot on the golf course, not been practicing as such since my 30 days of sort of training like a tour pro, as I called it, and already I've started to slip and wander back into bad habits. So seeing this morning is probably some of the crisper irons that I've hit for quite some time, and it's a nice feeling to know that the work that you're doing, you can see some immediate success. So I'm not too sure what Hack Motion is going to tell me, because my drill of 5 is complete. What I'm pretty pleased with is the results, what I'm seeing downrange. And obviously another point to mention is you can do this kind of thing. I'm out on the golf course, found a little quiet spot this morning, early morning at Holywell. Maybe not ideal for everybody, but you can do this kind of thing in your back garden. You can use a plastic ball, you can just use a hitting mat, and once you make that strike down onto the turf, it will sort of get a reading as well. So I like the fact that you don't have to travel to the golf course, you don't have to travel to a driving range, and you can pretty much practice these positions and this swing technique literally wherever. So the next thing, revisit the app, have a look at where you or how you fared, and we've still got an issue with that sort of backswing inside takeaway. We're 100% poor, we're now 60%. That's a significant improvement, but we've still got issues. And if you click into that, you'll see another number of drills. Now the faldo drill we've just completed, the next thing you'll see is this top drill. When you click into there, there's a number of swing thoughts, which I think is fantastic. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but you'll see the water drill, loose arm wrestle, watch face extension, squeeze the elbows. Go into each one of those, and they'll give you a little sort of a feel throughout the swing that you can concentrate on to try and eradicate, in this case, my inside takeaway. I'm just going to have a quick go of what is called watch face extension, and what it's given me here is 2 positions to make sure that I can still sort of see the watch. And I'm assuming we're going to take away position, and then we're going to see top of the backswing position. And essentially what we're looking to do is make sure I can still see the watch. There's a tendency that if I keep my head here, look to this side, with my inside takeaway, that watch face will disappear. Same thing at the top of the swing. If I start to turn too much, the watch face will again disappear from my view. So it's just a little thing to concentrate on, still using the Hack Motion as a visual aid in this case. And let's see what kind of impact that has on my inside takeaway. And more importantly, what does it do sort of downrange? Is this kind of straightening up or not being so inside and being more on plane will have a positive effect, or will it be something that is negative? And therefore I've got to find a balance between the two. So we take a look at the overview, and yes, I've still got a problem with inside takeaway, but maybe we're making some improvements, and that keeping the eye on sort of where the hands are or where the device is throughout the swing is a good one. But the next thing it's identified, and many of you who watch the channel will be aware that I've got an issue where I sort of cast, and that's very much sort of starting the downswing with my arms. Sequencing was a big deal within my 30 days training like a tour pro. Lewis tried to get me starting the swing with my hips and my lower body, and then the arms sort of following in. You can see alongside me on screen right now is a drill that is very, very similar indeed. And the encouragement is exactly that. Start with the body, with the downswing with the body rather, and try and keep the sort of hands behind. It talks about keeping the arms loose and keeping the club head delivered, sort of, or the hands at least delivered, very much latter in the swing. Struggled a bit with that, but hopefully the visual will help you. So first of all, we're going to go through a little bit of a drill and see if we can do that. So we're up to the top, starting there, and then it talks about shallowing out as well, and that's something that I like to feel, or probably don't do, and it allows me, I still feel as though I'm throwing the arms, so maybe just relax it a bit and let them come in just a little bit later. Let's see how that goes in reality. So up to the top, and there you go, a nice thin bladed one that is actually going to go right by the flag. Let's see if we can try that again. This is reality, this is what it looks like. Up to the top, turn, and then drop the hands in. So up top, there we go. Just a little bit slower in terms of the kind of execution. Still says I'm casting, so still those arms are being sort of pulled towards a target rather than letting them drop down. Let's see if we can make an adjustment. So up to the top, down. That felt really nice. I mean, I'm getting a lot of negativity in terms of the noises that I'm getting off of the device, so I'm still no doubt casting, but it's something you can work on. It just feels so much different than what we were doing earlier on. So up to the top, you can, I mean, I don't know whether you're going to pick up on the audio, but the crispness of the strike is just such an encouragement. And even though I'm getting a few beeps at saying I'm not quite hitting the mark at some parts of this swing, and we'll learn that later, even this morning, just spending an hour with the camera on, checking positions, has got me hitting crisper irons than perhaps I have done for several weeks. In brief, the HackMotion device is one of the best training aids I've ever used, and for many different reasons. I like the fact that it's so comfortable and unnoticeable on your wrist, first of all, so I can play a full round of golf with this and not even recognise it being there. I think then the feedback is incredible, it's incredibly accurate, and then the fact that it takes you into drills on how to eradicate the problem. Now in some cases maybe it won't eradicate the problem, but what it will do is get you into better positions and start to build a swing and a more consistent swing. And I joked earlier on maybe about breaking 80 or breaking 90. Invested in new clubs ain't going to do it. Watching YouTube all day long ain't going to do it. But I do believe that HackMotion can help you considerably in trying to achieve that, because breaking 80, breaking 90, breaking 100, wherever you're at in that kind of spectrum of scoring, it relies on one thing, in my opinion. That's consistency of swing, the way you play the game, and how repeatable your swing can become. And that's what HackMotion does incredibly well. There are a number of different developments continually going on with this thing as well, and I think I was perhaps supposedly show you a little bit more in and around the device and what those developments are this morning, but I got so wrapped up in the bit that identifies my own issues, maybe I didn't do that. So go over to HackMotion, check out what is going on. There is a QR code on screen for you now that will take you to a little discount code as well. And honestly, I can't tell you, if you consider how much a few lessons cost or a new driver costs or whatever else, compare it to your investments into a HackMotion sensor, and I think you've got an incredibly good investment. And like I said, like taking your coach with you everywhere you go. That's me done, as ever. Take from it what you will, and check out HackMotion. Anybody using the device, what I would love to hear is from you. This is my opinion on it, but stick some comments down below and let your fellow golfer know if you're finding this as useful as I am. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon.